Grow your cleaning business. Make more money. Have more time. This is the Profit Cleaners Podcast with your hosts, Brandon Condry and Brandon Shane.
All right, everybody. So we are joined today by one of our amazing students, Stanley Lebron, and I'm just so excited and grateful to have you here, Stanley. Just the last few weeks, you've been a student of ours, for months now, but just the last few weeks, hearing some of your stories of success, some of the progress you're making, I was just blown away, man. And so I just wanted to have you on the podcast and hear more of what you got going on. And I know things are always changing. It's challenging in the beginning, but I do remember that one of the last messages you sent me was, "This is changing my life, man. Like it's priceless having you guys around as mentors to figure this business out as I go." And you were hiring, you had your first team up and going, you had 16 new clients, you had 25 new reviews. I mean, you had a lot of stuff going on. So I just wanted to have you on, man. Let's hear about how it's going, the progress, like what it's been like for you. I'm excited to hear what's going on in your business. So let's dive into it. Tell us a little bit more about how you got started, Stanley, like what's going on with your business, and let everybody know, all the profit cleaners out there that are trying to do what you're doing. Let's hear how you did it.
Yeah, well, first off, I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast. Before I started my cleaning business, I binge listened to you guys' podcast episode. I would re-listen to episodes. So when I first got on board with you guys as mentors, I was, what would you call a warm lead or a hot lead? Like I was ready to buy. I was like, I want.
Yeah, I remember that, man. You were ready to go. That was awesome.
Yeah. So how I got started is my background. I was actually a professional gamer for 5 years for the NBA 2K League.
That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah. So I was actually drafted by that Miami Heat my first year ever in the league.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so I played 2 years for the Heat. Then I played for the Portland Trail Blazers for a season, Sacramento Kings. And then my last year in the league, I was on an expansion team that bought in from Spain. And they had me located in Indiana, which is where I have my cleaning business now. So while I was working as a gamer, I met my now girlfriend here. And when the season was over, I had a decision to make, like, well, am I going to go back home to New York where I grew up and do long distance, or am I going to stay here with my girlfriend and figure some things out? So I stayed with my girlfriend and I did some research on how I can make some money, some easy to get into businesses, and cleaning was one of them. I live in Carmel, Indiana. It's like one of the top 5 cities in the U.S. So it's a really nice suburban area with a lot of money to go around. So I was like, man, like I'll take some of these rich people's money, and that's how I kind of got into it.
Do you miss the esports life?
Yes, I wish I could go back every day. I don't wish. I love what I'm doing now. Actually, I'm having a lot of fun with the business, learning every day. But I didn't want to leave the gaming world. They kind of forced my hand because I was only employed for half the year, and I had just turned 28, so I couldn't just keep doing the 6 months working, 6 months off thing. But I miss the league, and I always like to tell all my friends from the league, like, once I get this business up and running, and it's like running without me, the dream of an entrepreneur, that I'll be back.
Like, I'm really curious. I mean, esports is like so new. Like, esports is one of the things that makes me feel old.
So my 6 month salary was $35,000 every 6 months, my contract. But then there was tons of bonus money. Like, this past season, my friend won the championship, and just for winning the championship alone, he took home almost $60K. Just him.
Like, what's the
for winning the championship?
Streams on Twitch or something, presumably, right? And so, like, they have advertisers that pay stuff while people are watching it live.
Yeah. They stream it on Twitch, YouTube. They do a whole lot of short form content nowadays, like IG Reels. They're everywhere with content, but yeah, we have, like, I keep saying we, like I'm still part of the league. But they're sponsored by Snickers, big brands, because it's a part of the NBA, so they kind of like are piggybacking them to get them up and going, because it's only 6 years in, so they're not where they want to be, but it grows every year, and they've always had big brand
Wild
sponsorships
stuff.
that
I love
come
it.
in.
All right, so you quit
Yeah.
the league. You made a conscious decision to stay in a nice city, hang out with your girlfriend, which I did. I moved for a girl. She's now my wife, so I think that'll play out nicely for you if you wanted to. So you started the company. You listened to a bunch of podcast episodes. I think it's awesome that you binge listened to us. That was pretty cool. How did you find us in the beginning? If you were just Googling businesses to start, how did you stumble upon the podcast?
Well, when I decided to do a cleaning business, I consumed as much content as I could. YouTube, I've watched a lot of different cleaning business owners, and I've listened to their podcasts, and I watched a bunch of videos of other people that have successful cleaning businesses. And I found you guys on Apple Podcasts. Like, you guys will always come up. Like, there's not quality content on Apple Podcasts for cleaning business beside you guys, but on YouTube, you'll see a couple. But when I actually had an interview with a different cleaning company owner, he's based from Seattle. He was trying to sell me a course. And it was like between that company and your company, and I was just like, man, these guys just know. I just felt like you guys sounded more educated on the cleaning business. Like, I felt more comfortable going with you guys. So, but yeah, you guys have some competition on that aspect.
I welcome competition. It's fine. I mean, there's a reason you ended up with us, so I'm sure there's a reason other people will end up with us as well. But yeah, so you started the company.
Yep.
I've talked to you a couple times. We've had a couple meetings. I see you on the coaching calls pretty regularly. And then Brandon wanted to bring you on because you've had like this recent sort of bout of success. So tell us about what's been recently going on with the cleaning company and those reviews and all that stuff. And then we can maybe touch on staff. They're going to charge you $80 for that because you didn't pick up the phone.
That's funny, but yeah, I could redo that if you want.
No, I mean, yeah, I missed a lot of it. So I got the 3, 6, 9. So we're doubling up month over month. We're doing really good on revenue, and then I missed what you said there in the middle.
Okay, yeah. So we're in October. So in August, I was at around 3,000, and then I doubled up from August to September. That was at that point I was like, okay, this is like happening. Yeah. Like, getting some good business. And then this month, like I said, I'm like nearing the 9K range. I've had about over $1,000 worth of cancellations, unfortunately, this month. I guess that's what's come with having a lot of clients. You'll get cancellations.
Yep.
So that was kind of a bummer because I was like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do they give you a reason for the cancellations?
So one of my bi-weekly clients just decided that she wants cleans on Saturdays, and I'm like, well, I can't do that right now.
Yep.
So, and then another client just said their house wasn't as dirty and they don't want the clean right now.
Yeah, those are.
So it hasn't been like quality issues or anything wrong. They just don't want the clean right now.
Yeah, so I mean, the one that said the house was too clean, I don't need you to come back. Was that a monthly client, a bi-weekly client?
So that client's been all over the place. First we started as weekly, then we moved on to bi-weekly, and now I guess we're moving on to monthly.
Well, I mean, it's good that they're still a client. I mean, the alternative is nothing. But the reason I asked about the cancellations is sometimes it's actually distinctly tied to like flu season, and I guess we could call it COVID season now too. But people start calling out sick just because they can't make it that day, and our schedule's kind of packed, so it's kind of difficult to reschedule them. So we have this new sanitizing service that we're offering. So we're trying to pivot the customer experience into being like, they called in sick, like, hey, really sorry, hope you feel better. Next time we come out, do you want us to bring this sanitizing robot and get all the virus out of your curtains and stuff? So we're inching towards doing that. So we're trying to find a way to capture those cancellations to even get like an upsell. And that's something that we'll be rolling out to the podcast listeners here soon. But yeah, I mean, it's good to have cancellations that are not quality related. The quality ones are hard because that means that you failed. And when it's just them bitching about scheduling, or maybe it costs too much, like there's things you can do, but it doesn't sound like you have a problem to deal with, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So keep going. So you had some progressive growth the last few months. you're picking up, getting some steam, getting some momentum, building that belief, right? And then I think you said you hired your first team, right? You had your first team going and picked up new clients left and right.
So I was working with 3 ladies. They were all family and they all lived in the same household, but it was one older sister, a younger sister, and then a younger cousin. And the oldest sister she was like the dream employee. I mean, she always maintained quality. She will hold the other girls accountable because, they're sisters and they're all related. So it was easy for her to hold them accountable. So I turned her into the team lead like 2 weeks in. And it was going great, but there was a little hiccup down the road and I had to let them go, unfortunately. And now I've been in the field the whole week, but I got some interviews lined up. Nice. And I got another candidate who speaks English. This candidate, because the last ladies, they didn't speak English. That was another issue with some of my clients. It wasn't a big issue, but it was kind of just in the back of my mind, like this is gonna cost me at some point. I always thought about it. What
was the hiccup? Why did you have to let all 3 of them go at the same time?
We can cut stuff out, right?
Cut stuff out or bleep things, yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't background check them, and turns out that she didn't have a driver's license.
But do the other 2?
No.
Yeah, I mean, that happens from time to time, for sure. So it is what it is, like that's just the kind of the roulette of cleaning, just the way it's been set up in the United States, just the way it ended up that way.
Yeah, the way I let her go was like I told her, like, okay, like I need to put you on the insurance policy because you can't keep doing this. And then because I already suspected that she didn't have a license. She kind of slipped up and said she's driving around without car insurance.
All right.
So I was supposed to let them go a few weeks ago, but I had so many clients lined up and just new initial deep cleans, and I was like, man, like I gotta just stick it out. But it got to the point where I couldn't handle the stress anymore. I'm like, if something happens out there, my company is pretty much effed. So
that's a good call, man. That's a good call. But down the road, like let's say these interviews work out, you get a bunch of people that have driver's licenses. That could be a place where you go back to in the future, where they're not drivers. Like if you get one person that has a driver's license, you could bring them back on potentially as cleaners, but that's a conversation for down the road, I think. But yeah, man, it happens. I like to hear that you're just rolling with it. Mm-hmm. We got interviews scheduled, no big deal. Like we'll find someone. Like that's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, man. You don't give up. You just keep going. When things happen, as long as you're learning from it, like you are learning from it. You said, I didn't do this right this time, but next time I'll do it right this way. And as long as you're taking that knowledge into the next phase of what you're doing, that's the beauty of business is you make your own rules. And at the end of the day, it's all kind of like an experiment. But as long as you're learning from those things you're doing, those aren't mistakes. Those are just pushing you forward to the next level. And now you're going to actually be able to up level your team. So the first people you had maybe weren't the best fit, but you got some progress and some momentum with them. Now the next people will be even better, and you'll be able to build on that. And I think it'll be a great stepping stone for you instead of like a failure or something like that, right? So
yeah, I think about awesome. Quotes a lot, Brandon. They keep me going. I'll be honest with you.
Brandon's good for that. I do want some. Awesome, I want some Shane-isms on a T-shirt. I think that's our next merch ploy that we should be doing.
This is what you guys call it. I told my girlfriend last week. It was one of Brandon's quotes. I was like, this guy. It was the client that has turned from weekly to bi-weekly to monthly. We've had several back and forths. And I'm like, man, this guy's really sharpening my axe. I was telling my girlfriend that I've heard Brandon say it a lot of times in the podcast.
I like it.
Yeah, brother. Absolutely. I mean, every time you encounter anything hard or challenging, or even just like you're listening to the podcast, reading books, I mean, you're sharpening your axe, man, so you can cut through the next thing even better. So I love that, man. That's huge. Mm-hmm. So tell us what happened beyond that. So you had while you had that team, though, you were getting new clients, getting new reviews. It sounded like you made quite a bit of growth happen, even while you didn't have the best team. It was still making progress, right?
Yeah, it's great. I'm about to be I think I'm at 28 Google reviews right now. I'm actually past 30, but Google just keeps taking down my reviews for some reason. I have to keep emailing them to put them back
Do
up.
they do it? Do they put them back up?
Yeah, I've actually had great results. Like, I get through with them, and I email the guy, and I follow up, and they get them
Did
posted.
they tell you why they took them down in the first place?
No.
That's weird, man. Reviews are such a strange space, and there's so much stuff that relies on them. So, like, maybe they think it was fraudulent or something, but that's interesting. I'm glad that they responded to you. We were just talking about on the coaching call how Google has notoriously bad customer service, so I'm good to hear a success story out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like a little hack I have on the Google support site, because it'll only give you email option, but if you keep playing around with like what you need done, eventually it'll give you a callback option, and that's what I do to get a hold of them, like, fast.
I like it.
So
Very nice. Alrighty. Well, if you guys are, we've had lots of issues with Google. If you guys are listening to this and you've had issues with Google, take that little nugget from Stanley. That's just keep, and that, I think that's just a good like mindset hack too. It's like when something doesn't go your way, just keep going. Like keep hacking away until you find a solution. And as an entrepreneur, you're gonna like come across so many challenges and stopping points. But if you just keep going and don't give up, you'll get through it. Google will call you back eventually. You will get a team in place eventually that will work for you and keep growing from there. So that's amazing, man. So how do you think you were getting those reviews, Stanley? Were you asking for them? Were you just over delivering value? Like what kind of process were you using to gather those reviews in the beginning?
I think what works best for me is like asking for a review right after the clean. When I wait like for the next day, I don't get good results. But if I ask like right away, that's been my best method to get the review, because I always follow up with a text after the clean, like, hey, like how was the clean? Did you like it? And it's normally great feedback, like, oh, I loved it. I'm like, oh, can you please give me a review? Like I like make it personalized as well. Like I tell them what I'm trying to do. Like I'm really trying to grow this company and I need your help. And it's been great responses to that. So
yeah. That's amazing, man. And I love what you're doing, because you're like right as the clean is finished or that same day, you're following up, right? And most sales and business are in the follow-up, and a lot of the customer experience is things you do after the fact, not just the upfront stuff. So the fact that you're reaching out, you're customizing, you're personalizing a message to somebody, it shows that you care. Like people are feeling that your intent is that you care, you want, and you're asking for help. And people want to, naturally people want to help local businesses or, people in their community if they need a favor. So I love that, man. I love that you're doing that. And eventually, like, in the beginning, we had to do a lot more of that too. But eventually, as your business grows, as you dial in your process and your experience, that'll happen more organically too. And people will just, and especially if you're over delivering and you're doing things like that and going out of your way, it's going to help just those things happen organically. But I love that, man. That's really, really powerful, because a lot of people have a hard time getting reviews for lots of different reasons. So you're taking action.
Stanley, are you using a review software, or are you just crafting those text messages on your own and giving them a link to your Google My Business page?
Just on my own, not automated yet.
Good job. But that's the whole point, right? It works. Like we told people that we had reviews before we started using one of those softwares. We use Podium, but you can absolutely get them. You just have to ask. That's the thing, that Podium makes it easy to ask without having to track it, which is a lot easier when you get bigger and you got dozens of jobs a day. But when you're brand new like that, yeah, man, just can you give us a review? It'd be really helpful if you could do this for us. So I really appreciate that you're taking that to heart, and also that you're telling them why. Like that, we always tell you guys, like, tell the customer why. Here's why I need your review. I'm trying to grow this business. This really helps a lot, and it's clear that people resonate with that. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I got it from you guys, so
that's good. It's good that people listen and
awesome,
follow
man.
through.
Yeah, no, like we still do that to this day. I think we're pivoting more towards, just that experience, but like, it's still, we're aggressive with that stuff, but I think ultimately our goal is just to like create such an amazing experience for people that they can't help but to do it on their own. But obviously a little nudge helps every once in a while. So especially when you're brand new, those reviews are gold, so you getting out there, that for those first 30 reviews you built in just a few months, Stanley, I mean, that's like pure gold, because that's social proof now that people are going to want to work with you, but they're going to wonder, well, who else is buying Stanley's cleaning services, right? And so they're going to go look for those reviews, and that's what's going to help sell them most of the time, especially if you're brand new. So that's super huge, man, that you're working those reviews. And just getting out there, man, taking action. That's what it sounds like to me. So, have you been enjoying like the coaching calls and like you're getting some value from just like hanging out with us and as you're building your business?
Yeah, I always learn something new from the coaching calls. What I like from the coaching calls is that there's people like me in there that are new and they ask newbie questions, and I'll just be a fly on the wall and listen and just learn from people that are in my shoes. So I think those are great. So, and I like that you guys do it almost every week, and that you guys have the Q&As for everybody too.
Yeah. I mean, we only know what you guys tell us, so we want to make it easy for, you know, people that are in the course to be able to ask what they need to know. Like when we made the course, we tried to get you all the way, like this is what we think you'll need to know, but over time it develops into a different sort of beast, and we're happy to roll with it. That's part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're in there learning with you guys. Like that's the fun part is we might have made some progress, you know, ahead of the pack here, but like we're also in there listening to you guys, listening to what you're trying out, and everybody's getting better together. So I think that's a huge value add there. A lot of times too, just as an entrepreneur, I know this personally for myself, you know, sometimes you feel like a lone wolf out there, like nobody understands what you're trying to do. I think it's entrepreneurs only make up like 7% of the world's population. It's a very small actual number of true entrepreneurs. And, you know, when you surround yourself with community, with people like-minded, there's that quote I love, you are the average of the people, like the 5 people you surround yourself with. Just the more you do that, whether that's through podcasts, books, communities, like mastermind coachings, the better you're going to get, man, and the more confidence you're going to have. And then it's going to be easier for you to take action, you know? So I think, you know, we're seeing that in reality here, you know, like you didn't really know what you were doing a few months ago. I remember having that initial call with you, Stanley, and it's amazing, man, to hear your progress, almost 10,000 a month. And like, what do you think made the difference for you, man? Like, was it, do you think you could have done that like 5 or 6 months ago when you were very first starting without any of this knowledge? Or what do you think made you take the action and get it done?
I mean, I definitely think I could have done it. Probably not as fast as I'm doing it now because, I mean, I've just been exposed to so much knowledge with you guys and the group and just all the content I've consumed. But if I went the route of just trying to do it all by my own, then it would have been tough. Like, it would have been really hard. I remember, this is the one story I always like to reference where this was like the turning point was like, okay, like the money I spent on the course was worth it. I had a clean, move out clean. The guy was trying to sell the house and I was supposed to clean it with some girl and she no-showed me that day. So I was there by myself. It took me like 9 hours to get that done on my own.
Wow.
And I ruined the stove. I uploaded the video in the group, if you guys remember, but I ruined the stove and I had like 5 minutes to just panic. Like, what am I going to do? Like, this was the first time I ever ruined an appliance. Like, what's going to happen? And then I was like, wait, like I have these guys, like, I'm just going to go in there and ask, and whatever they tell me, like, I'm going to roll with it. And I went in there, I posted a video of the damages, and one of the other students, I think, what's his name? Kyle, maybe? He's in Indiana too. Kyle. Mm-hmm. He told me if it's under your deductible, just cover it. And then Brandon Condry commented like, yep, that's exactly what you do. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to tell him, and that's what I'm going to do if it comes down to it. So that was the moment was like, okay, like this was worth it, because I would have been just losing it over that.
So how did he take it? How did your customer take it when you gave him that news?
He was selling the house, so I told him like, look, I messed this up. He said he's gonna have his son look at it, and I never heard from him since.
Perfect.
And
that's all you had to do, though. The difference is if you hadn't told him, someone would have found it on some walkthrough later and been pissed, and then they would have called you and then been really pissed. But the fact that you were just upfront, hey, really sorry, screwed up this appliance, my bad, I will cover this. So you find a guy, replace it, and I'll reimburse you. Like, that's the best way. And then it puts it back on them to do what they got to do. And then they never contact you. So maybe that was small, or maybe they talked to the buyers who were like, nah, we're going to replace it with something new anyway. And it just ended up being a non-issue. And that's like the best case scenario. But had you not said anything, it could have been way worse. And you may have had to like refund the cost of that clean, even though it wasn't a big deal on their end, but they were just mad about it because you tried to hide it. And that happens a lot. People get upset when you try to hide things from customers. Like, you shouldn't do that. We try to tell you guys to just be upfront, man. Like, you're human, mistakes happen. It wasn't intentional. I didn't come in here to bash your stove. I'm really sorry. And that usually just works out, man. People realize that mistakes happen, and I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad that was the that was your ROI on the course investment, was that we saved you from some headache with a customer.
Yeah. The best part about this story is I had another client reach out to me a few months before that. She wanted a move out clean because she was selling the house. Clean her place up. Then she calls me again 3 months later because she liked the job that we did. She's like, hey, like, I finally bought my new house. We didn't even move in clean. I get to the house, and it's the same house I ruined the stove.
Was the stove still there? Was it still ruined?
It was still ruined.
Oh, man. Great. Did you tell her that? Did you not tell her the stove part, hopefully, but did you tell her that I cleaned it before?
No, I told my ladies, like, I've cleaned this house before and I ruined the stove, and we were just laughing, having a great time. But I will never tell the client ever.
I have a story, really it's similar, not the same thing. But I got this request for an estimate. I saw it come through, and I was like, I'm going to go do this one in person. And I got down there, and it was the house that I lived in college. It was like the debauchery party house when we lived there, and police were called, and people, dude, it was a good time. It was a good house to live in, but we trashed that place. And so I really wanted to know what it looked like as an adult, with an adult living in it. And she was a doctor working at the hospital. And I told her, like, when we walked through, like, there's this funny hole in the wall. I was like, yeah, this is where my friend Johnny threw this dude through the sheetrock, and we repaired it ourselves. And we had a good laugh about it. She thought it was funny, and she ended up being a customer. So we cleaned that house all the time. It was hilarious. So yeah, it's funny. Like, when you live in a city like that, you'll run into more things like that. So it's, I don't know. I always find it funny to go into a house like that when you've been there before.
I think the damage stories are always really funny. I just want to piggyback on that really, really quick. In the very early days, like first year of business, in our neighborhood, Brandon, I don't know if you remember this, but I was with the team, like, doing the inspection and stuff, and we had actually broken. I looked like a pretty nice piece of china or some glass on the bar, and we left our leave behind note, and we immediately contacted the customer, told them, hey, we broke this, we'll replace it, like we always do. And that was the day that I realized that being upfront and honest with people really pays, because this lady was so surprised. She was this is the wow factor we're always talking about. When you make people feel like, oh my gosh, you really care. She went, and I was right there next to her, and she called her friend, or she was talking to her neighbor, and she was like, you won't believe it. This company even left a note and told me they broke my stuff, and they even called me and like all these things, and she couldn't believe that we just told her, But again, a lot of times companies hide these things, and it's when you're going above and beyond, and you're over delivering value, and you're just doing things to just help people instead of just take, you're helping people. People can't believe it, and that's when they tell that story. And so yeah, you did the right thing, Stanley. And I think in the future that knowledge will pay huge dividends, because it's like we've had so many stories of breakage and damaging crazy amounts of appliances, and other stories from other people too. But it's like, if you make it right, people will, first of all, they won't believe it or you even told them, and so yeah, they might not even care. That are like, thank you for telling me, and it's not even a big deal. But I think that's a great example of just offering a great customer experience. Even if you break something, take responsibility. People don't expect that. So if you do things that people don't expect, they're going to talk about you. They're going to keep working with you, and it's going to create loyalty, and it's going to create a great brand story for you. So yeah, I love that, man.
We actually broke, my weekly client had a perfume like on a stand by his TV, and okay, we broke it. It shattered, and it was like $20. So I already ordered the new perfume on Amazon. I haven't even told him I broke it yet. So I'm going to text him and let him know, like, hey, I broke this, and I already ordered a new one. It'll be there tomorrow. Nice. So
oh man, that reminds me of one. We're just trading war stories here on this episode, so come along, guys. This is gonna be a fun ride. It was really early on in the days. We were cleaning this house. The wife had booked us. She liked us a lot. It was our second clean, I think, and her husband was a surgeon, and he had a collection of brandy and a big collection of brandy. And we knocked over and broke a bottle of Louis XIV brandy, which is French. And if you've ever seen the bottle, it's got all these little spiky things on the outside of the glass. And so they were trying to dust it, and the duster got caught in one of those, knocked it over. That bottle of brandy is $4,000. And I almost lost my mind when I found out how much it was going to cost to replace it. And I told him, I'm like, I'm really sorry about it. Like, you know, please let us know how we can replace it. I know some people like on the, you know, alcohol distribution side of things, like maybe there's a way to find it. And the guy was so cool that we approached him about it. He was like, I didn't even like it that much. And it was like mostly done anyway. He's like, I'll give you a couple names of some stuff that's affordable. You buy whatever you want. And he gave me this list, and we got him 2 bottles off of it. And we did find a guy that gave us a discount on it. And so we ended up spending $100 instead of $4,000. But that was a hard pill to swallow, to walk up to a guy and be like, hey man, we broke your $4,000 bottle of brandy. Really sorry. And it all worked out in the end. So I think it just goes back to the whole story of tell them that you did it, and the fact that your weekly customer is gonna be blown out of the water. Like $20 for a perfume is not a lot in the perfume world, but the fact that you already ordered a replacement, it's already on the way, it'll be delivered tomorrow, that's above and beyond for them. That's what's going to make them stay a weekly customer and tell their neighbors about how you did that. That's the best part.
Yeah, it's my only weekly client. I can't let go of him.
That's awesome, man. But you're already doing it, man. You're already delivering amazing customer experiences, and even just little things. Like, you might not think that's a big deal, but that is a big deal to a lot of people. And a lot of people, that's the reason, you know, one of the biggest reasons people hate house cleaning is they're worried their stuff's going to get broken or stolen, or it's going to be a hard experience in one way or another. So if you make it a pleasant experience, and even if things go wrong, you're making it right, you're taking responsibility, that's what it's all about. And yeah, that's what's going to get you so many more customers in the future too, is just keeping that mindset. So right on, man. So what's next, Stanley? Like, what do you got? What's the next big goal, or what are you working on next to keep growing this business in Indiana?
I'm like laser focused on hiring, because I was supposed to be done cleaning 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I'm over the cleaning. It's not realistic. To the goals I have, to the company I want to be, I can't keep cleaning. Like, I can put my time to way better use. I'm just ready to hire a team and just let go. And what's the phrase? Let go and let God, and just let's do it. Let whatever happens. And yeah, like, it's just the reward for not cleaning is so much better than cleaning. Like, if you send them on 100 cleans and 3 cleans go wrong, like, I'm taking those odds 10 out of 10 times. And for me, that what's holding me back to do that is just the fear of, because nobody's going to care as much as I care about the clean. No one's ever going to care as much as I care. Like, I get that, and I've accepted that, but it's still just the fear that I'm holding on to. Like, man, like, they're going to mess something up. But like, I've messed things up. I messed up a stove, and I'm still here. So like, I just got to just get over that. And that's what I'm ready to do. Like, I'm ready to do that. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good focus. It's a good focus to be laser hired on that. As soon as you get out of there, and then I think when it really becomes real is when you get to like 2 or 3 teams, and now you have a pool of employees you can work with. So like, if someone calls in sick on one team, you can shuffle jobs between them. You can shuffle people around for floating. You know, that's when the real magic happens. So like, you got to get that first team to stick, and then from there, like, the sky's the limit. But I think like the important part there, the fear part, that is one thing you definitely have to let go of. It's so hard to do it, but after you get done with the first one and you realize that they didn't destroy anything, we had a bunch of good customers that went through. Like, I remember trying to game out, like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, someone leaves the gas on a stove because they twisted a knob the wrong way with a microfiber, and then like the whole house explodes. Well, that's what's insurance for. Like, that's not you. They're not going to come after Stanley to rebuild the house. Like, that's an insurance claim. You got that covered. That cost you $1,000 on your deductible to blow someone's house up. Now, you know, you might have a reputation problem we got to manage after that, but that's the worst case scenario. So when you picture people going into houses and breaking perfumes or picture frames or even appliances, you can bounce back from that. Like, we destroyed $10,000 in appliances that were 7 days old, and they still stayed a customer. And because they had the receipt, they got full value from the insurance. And what I liked about it was they got a check for the value of the appliances, but because they had young kids, they kept the appliances that we scratched because the kids were going to do it anyway. And so we basically, our insurance bought them a set of appliances, our bad, but they liked how we handled it. And so they kept going. So you just got to go into it with that mindset. Your employees will 100% not care about it as much as you do. They will screw up. That's what the bonus is for. You got to give them a bonus to try and incentivize them to care a little bit more like you do. And then over time, it'll all sort itself out. Like you said, it's just something that you got to manage from far away, but I'd way rather be steering it in an office than scrubbing toilets myself.
100% with you on that. Yep. So that's
yeah, man.
I have actually just got initiated last week into Carmel Rotary Club. So I'm a
nice.
So I'm getting involved in the community, just doing as much as I can, honestly, to just get my name out there and meet some people, because I moved to Indiana. I don't know anybody here but my girlfriend and some of her friends that I've met.
Yep,
so
that's a good way to do it. I like those community groups like the Rotarians, Rotary Club, the Elks. Like those kind of like some old dudes hang out there usually, but they're usually fun and they've been around a long time, so they're happy to introduce you to other people. BNI is a good one to get into the business community side of things. And then in terms of general community, like, I don't know, man, you got to pick up a hobby. Like, you're into gaming. I'm sure there's some group that gets together that's usually online, but you got to find, like, I played racquetball when I moved to Las Vegas, and I just met a bunch of people doing that, including this dude that was 90 years old that I used to play with. His name was Eddie. He was awesome. So yeah, the more that you get your name out there, the better they are. Chambers of commerce, depending on how good they are, they're widely variable depending on the city, but oftentimes they will offer to do like a ribbon cutting ceremony, even if you've been in business a long time. Like, come out for the ribbon cutting for this cleaning company, you know, like they're brand new to the group, and they'll put out a press release. They'll usually get you in a paper. So something to keep in mind there too.
That's nice. Didn't know about all that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think you're doing the right thing, man. Just keep creating that network. It's easier when you like are from the town because you obviously have that network and that community already. But if you're not, especially if you're not, join those groups up. Brandon did a lot of the BNI more than I did in the beginning, and there was good pros and cons. But I think no matter what, as long as you're taking action, you're going to create momentum. You're going to meet the right people that'll put you in touch with the right people. A lot of times in those groups, what you're surrounded by is what we call in the marketing world like influencers or micro influencers, people that have a lot of clout and they have a lot of a network that they can reach out to. So tell those people, hey man, like, we'll showcase our skills, we'll clean your house for free, like, let us just show you what we can do, and please talk about us, please tell your network, please talk about it at the networking event. It's also another great strategy for like Facebook groups and things like that. There's got to be some really cool Carmel Facebook groups of, you know, moms or neighborhood groups, family groups, things like that, where you can sponsor or promote clean the admin's house of the group. Just do whatever you can to get your word out there and get people noticing your stuff, you know, whether it's organic or paid. But I think you're doing the right thing, man. Just keep getting out there. And remember, like, you're creating a brand, right? So what do you want people to remember when they hear your brand, when they see your brand? And the more of those experiences you can give people, the more you're out there, you know, smiling, shaking people's hands, telling people what you're doing, the more it's going to create those connections too. So that's huge, man. I think you're doing some amazing things, and it sounds like you're in a really good market too. So there's got to be some cool community groups there in Carmel, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a great market to start a home cleaning business.
Do you carry around
There's a lot
brochures or anything, Stanley? Like, do you have an elevator pitch? If someone asks you what you do, you can like flop them this thing. Like, this is it. This is what I do. Here's the 60-second pitch.
I've thought about it. I've never executed it, but my pitch would be I give people free time and peace of mind.
I like it. Yep.
I love it.
Like, what do you mean? I'll tell them I have a home cleaning business.
Yep. That's the way to do it, man. You get them asking questions, they're following through, and then after you tell them like home cleaning business, here's this card, like, you get 50% off because you met me in person or something. Like, so just something to hand out. Like, we used to hand out brochures. Their teams all carry brochures in their cars, so if they ever get asked about it when they're having lunch, which happens pretty often, they're able to hand that out. So I definitely recommend getting some old school print media just to have around and be able to distribute.
Yeah, there's a good template in the course you can repurpose, Stanley, but also I mean, in the beginning, the more you get out there, the more action, even bad things happening, like you said, mistakes happening on the team or a negative review, that means you're taking a lot of action. That means you're getting out there enough that maybe some bad things are happening once in a while, but as long as you keep going and overcome those things, I mean, that's where you're going to keep growing. You know, it's powerful, man. All the actions you're taking right now, it's going to come back to you. It's just like, it feels like a lot of baby steps in the beginning, but it's like all those deposits you're making every day, taking action, it's going to come back to you. And yeah, I'm just proud of you, man. This is awesome. I'm just happy to hear that you're making progress and making waves in your business. And what's your girlfriend think about all this?
She's been cleaning with me this week.
Oh, really?
That's commitment right there. I like it.
Yeah, she's supportive.
Wow.
She's
huge.
She keeps me level-headed. Like, I have my moments where I'm like, man, I'll just start cursing. It's not working. It's all going bad. And she'll bring me back and she'll be like, look at all the progress you made. And then she'll remind me of my review. She'll remind me of a client that I made happy. And she'll just bring me back. And it's consistent. So we can thank her for me being present here today too, guys.
Well, please send along my thanks.
That's awesome,
that's half the battle, man. You just got to show up, do the work. That's part of the hard part about being an entrepreneur. In the beginning, there's a lot to do. You're the only person doing it. But once you start building that team, man, stuff just starts to snowball, and it just gets to this different level. It's a lot better, and it sounds like you're on the cusp. You got to get this laser focused hiring thing up and out of the way with this one team, and then get a second team on, after some sales, and then from there, sky's the limit.
Yeah. And it does get easier, Stanley. Like, it's like those issues with cancellations you were mentioning in the beginning. Like, as you have more teams and more people to work with, like, it's easier to fill in those spots. You have more people to fill in, or you have more customers, more one-times, more move-outs you can fill the schedule with if people cancel. So as you pick up more momentum, you get like economies of scale, and you get more efficiencies and more things that make it easier. But you're like in the hardest part of it right now, man, and you're doing amazing. And I would just say keep going. And I love your pitch. Like, remember, we talk about this all the time on the coaching calls and stuff. But like, you're selling happiness. You're not even selling cleaning services. You're selling happiness, giving people their time back. And when you flip your perspective like that, it's so much more powerful, and you can make some really amazing experiences for people, because you can remind them, hey, like, it's going to feel great when you can spend time with your family and your kid's birthday this weekend, and you can do stuff again as a family. You're not cleaning toilets all day. So it's a powerful product that you're selling, and it's happiness, and it's time back. And I love that you're already pitching it that way too. So very, very cool, man. So, well, I don't know if you had any other questions, Stanley. We could keep going forever, but I just wanted to get an update on you, see how you're doing, the progress. It's amazing. So thank you for sharing all this, man. I think I'm even learning a lot, and I think a lot of people out there are going to learn a lot from hearing your story, man.
Yeah, for sure. There's this one thing I want to share with new cleaning business owners who are hustling. I found I'm going to take credit for it. I found a new guerrilla marketing tactic.
Let's hear it.
I've been Ubering on my spare time with card magnets, and I have flyers on every single door of my car.
I like it.
Nice.
Taking my flyers.
So people pick it up, like they pick it up after a ride, and then they.
Yeah, I haven't closed the deal yet, but I've gotten some interest. Some people have called me genius for it, so I'm gonna keep rolling with it.
I like it.
Yeah. Building brand awareness.
There you go, man. Yeah, get the brand out there. And that's the thing, man. It's just sometimes you try something, it doesn't work. You try it a little different way. It's always an experiment, right? So you might find maybe it works super good with Lyft, but not at Uber, or like the way you say it or the way you do it is different. That works way better. So you just got to keep going with it. And I love that you're trying stuff, man. Guerrilla marketing is where it's at too, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
There's one thing I wanted to share with you, Brandon, before we go.
Yeah.
Back on the fear topic, I remember on I think it was a coaching call. I was in the hot seat with both of you, and you told me that it's like fear when you're about to go skydiving and you're scared of jumping off the plane, but when you finally jump, like, you feel free or something like that. And then I told you I will never jump off a plane. And the week after that was my birthday, and my girlfriend surprised me.
Skydiving?
We didn't go skydiving, but we went to go fly a plane. So I flew a plane the week after.
Dude, awesome. That's my jam. I want to fly planes.
Awesome.
I've flown 3 planes, with those discovery flights like that, it is such a good time. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a great time. Oh, I was nervous, like walking to the plane, but as we started going and we started hitting the gas, I wanted to do 360 swirlies in the air, but they weren't trying to do.
I'll talk your ear off about planes anytime you want. That's my success entrepreneur end goal, is to get me a little 4-seater family plane. I can take the kids out to go skiing in some weird places that are hard to get to, but really easy by plane. That's the super fun stuff that I'm shooting for. That's the big, hairy, audacious goal, is to get a Cirrus SR-22. That's the plan.
So yeah. I was thinking of you when I landed and we were walking back to the hangar, I think is what they call it. I was thinking of Brandon, like, man, like, this is crazy. So ironic.
I dig it.
Man. Yeah, man, that's huge, because it's like there's so many things in business and in life. And this is what I've learned is if it makes you feel nervous or scared, like, you should move towards it. And normally once you do it, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. You know, it's the same thing with jumping out of a plane. It's the same thing with starting a business. Once you get going, man, it's not as bad as you think. And if you do feel nervous or anxious, that's usually a good sign. Like, move towards it, like, take action and do it. Pull the Band-Aid off, like, be bold about it and just do it. And you'll be glad you did versus scrambling later, you know? So that's an amazing story, man. Thank you for sharing that, Stan.
Like it. Yeah, thank you.
For real. All right, man. Well, I think that's it, man. We just wanted to catch up with you, hear how business is going. Thanks for sharing your progress, Stanley. You're doing amazing, and don't stop, man. Keep taking action. Keep, doubling down on knowledge, showing up to the coaching calls, because that ultimately is what's going to build, your mentality, your mindset, the confidence and the clarity to keep going is just surrounding yourself with winners. And so I'm glad you're in the group, man. I'm excited to be on the journey with you, and let's just keep going.
Yeah, for sure. We should title this podcast Part 1, because I'll have a Part 2 when my new revenue go, and I'll be back.
Let's check back in later this year, man. I like it. Or early next year, I suppose.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's do it, man. Well, thanks for being here, Stanley, and thanks for inspiring everybody and sharing your story and your wins and your challenges and everything. Everyone's going to keep taking action because of it. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, guys. I really appreciate the course, and you guys have helped me a lot. Just ease off so much stress. So I really appreciate you guys more than you know. So I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Keep it up. Get back to answering the phone when Angie calls. Otherwise, you get charged for it.
That's right. You got to get back to business, man. But eventually, you'll work your way up and just keep going. Build that team. So I'm excited for you, Stanley. All right, man. Well, until the next episode, keep it clean, Stanley.
Keep it clean.
Thanks for joining us today. To get more info, including show notes, updates, trainings, and super cool free stuff, head over to ProfitCleaners.com. And remember, keep it clean.